Dear students, good morning. Welcome to our history class. In the last class, we have discussed about what are the social ideas by the some reformers such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, etc. So, let us learn about law against child marriage. As ways, women organization group people challenged another established custom, that of child marriage. In 1929, the Child Marriage Restraint Act, please note that Child Marriage Restraint Act was passed without the kind of bitter debates and struggles that earlier laws had seen. According to the Act, no man below the age of 18 and women below the age of 16 could marry. And later, limits were raised. What? To 21 for men and 18 for women. Okay. Next topic, caste and social reform. Rajaram Mohan Roy translated an old Buddhist text that was critical of caste. The Pratana Samaj adhered or sticked to the tradition of bhakti that believed in spiritual equality of all castes. In Bombay, the Paramhans Mandali was founded in 1840 to work for the abolition of caste. During the course of the 19th century, Christian missionaries began setting up schools for tribal groups and lower caste children. At the same time, the poor began leaving their villages to look for jobs that were opening up in the cities. So, low caste people began moving to the cities where there was a new demand for labor. Some also went to work in plantations in Assam, Mauritius, Trinidad, and Indonesia. Work in the new locations was often very hard, but the poor, the people from low caste, saw this as an opportunity to get away from the oppressive hold that upper caste landowners exercised over their lives and the daily humiliation they suffered. Upper caste landowners exercised over their lives and the daily insulting they suffered. For example, a coolie ship in the 19th century. Let's see picture. This coolie ship named John Allen carried many Indian laborers to Mauritius where they did a variety forms of hard labor. Most of these laborers were from low castes. There were other jobs too. The army, for instance, offered opportunities. A number of Mahar people who were regarded as untouchable found jobs in the Mahar regiment. The father of B.R. Ambedkar, the leader of the Dalit movement, taught at an army school. Then just like the Mahar people, the traditional leather workers, they were also called the Madigas. Let's see picture. Madigas making shoes in the 19th century. In which place? Andhra Pradesh. Caste prejudice against leather work meant that only the traditional leather workers and shoemakers were ready to supply army shoes. Let's see another example. Dublas of Gujarat carrying mangoes to the market. Dublas labored for upper caste landowners, cultivating their fields and working at a variety of odd jobs at the landlord's house. Next, demands for equality and justice. Second half of the 19th century, people from within the non-Brahmin caste began organizing movements against caste discrimination and demanded social equality and justice. Kasidas founded the Sadnami movement in central India. He belonged to the lower caste and worked among the leather workers and organized a movement to improve their social status. Haridas Thakur worked among the low caste Chandala cultivators in eastern Bengal. He questioned Brahmanical texts that supported the caste system. Let's see picture. Haridas Thakur questioned Brahmanical texts that supported the caste system. Srinarayana Guru was a guru from Irava caste in the present day or modern Kerala. Okay. He proclaimed the ideals of unity for his people. He argued against unequal treatment of people on the basis of caste differences. Okay. He believed that all human beings belong to the same caste. One of his famous statement was ഒരു ജാതി ഒരു മതം ഒരു ദൈവം മനുഷ്യന്, one caste, one religion, one God for humankind. That ideals of unity for his people. Okay. All the leaders came from low castes and worked amongst them. They tried to change those habits and practices among low caste which provoked upper caste contempt. They tried to create a sense of self-esteem among the low castes. Jyotirao Phule, born in 1827, was one of the most vocal amongst the low caste leaders. The voice amongst the low caste leaders. He studied in schools set up by Christian missionaries. He studied in Christian missionary schools. Okay. He set out to attack the Brahmins' claim that they were superior to others. He attacked the Brahmins' claim that to superiority. Phule argued that the Aryans were foreigners who came from outside the subcontinent and defeated and subjugated the true children of the country. That means he argued that the Aryans and from outside the subcontinent and defeated and conquered the true children of the country. He said the upper castes had no right to their land and power. In reality, the land belonged to low caste people, who were the original inhabitants land in the peninsula. Phule wrote a book named Gulamgiri in 1873. Phule dedicated his book to all those who had fought against slavery. Jyotirao Phule extended his criticism of the caste system to argue against all forms of inequality. He was concerned about the plight of upper caste women, the miseries of the laborer, and the humiliation of the low castes. Okay. Next, who could enter temples? Ambedkar was born into a Mahar family. From a very early age, he experienced caste discrimination. In school, he was forced to sit outside the classroom on the ground and was not allowed to drink water from taps that upper caste children used. Ambedkar finished his schooling and went to the US for higher studies. He returned to India in 1919. He wrote extensively or widely on the power upper caste had in the society. In 1927, Ambedkar started a temple entry movement. Note that Ambedkar started a temple entry movement in which year? In 1927. Mahar caste followers participated in this movement. Okay. The Mahar caste people who were called Dalits used water from the temple tank. This outraged or this shocked on the upper caste people. Okay. Ambedkar led 3 such movements for temple entry between 1927 and 1935. His aim was to make everyone see the power of caste prejudices within society. The non-Brahman movement. The non-Brahman movement started in the early 20th century. It was started by non-Brahman castes which were educated, wealthy and influential. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar or Periyar. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar or Periyar came from a middle-class family. He had been an ascetic in his early life and had studied Sanskrit scriptures. That means he had been an ascetic or severely life and studied Sanskrit scriptures. Later, he became a member of the Congress. He soon left the Congress as he felt that the party discriminated among castes. The lower castes were made to sit at a distance from the upper castes. Convinced that untouchables had to fight for their dignity, Periyar founded the self-respect movement. He argued that untouchables were the true upholders of an original Tamil and Dravidian culture which had been subjugated by Brahmins. He felt that all religious authorities saw social divisions and inequality as God given. Okay, untouchables had to free themselves, therefore, from all religions in order to achieve social equality. Periyar was an outspoken critic of Hindu scriptures. Orthodox Hindu society also reacted by founding Sanatan Dharma Sabhas and the Bharat Dharma Mahamandal in the north and associations like the Brahman Sabha in Bengal. Organizing for reform. The Brahma Samaj. The Brahma Samaj founded in 1828, August 20. It was formed in 1830. Prohibited all forms of idolatry and sacrifice, believed in the Upanishad, and forbade its members from criticizing other religious practices. That means Brahma Samaj prohibited all forms of idolatry, then some object image of worship, and sacrifice, believed in the Upanishads, important text in Hindu tradition, that is Upanishad, and forbade, not allowed its members from criticizing other religious practices. Derozio and Young Bengal. Henry Louis Vivian Derozio, a teacher at Hindu College, Calcutta in the 1820s, promoted radical ideas and encouraged his pupils to question all authority. Derozio demanded education for women and campaigned for the freedom of thought and expression. The Ramakrishna Mission and Swami Vivekananda. The Ramakrishna Mission, founded by Swami Vivekananda after his guru's name Ramakrishna Paramhamsa. The Ramakrishna Mission stressed the ideal of salvation through social service and selfless action. Okay, Swami Vivekananda, whose original name was what? Narendranath Dutt, combined the simple teachings of Sri Ramakrishna with his well-founded modern outlook and spread them all over the world. Swami Vivekananda was the first Indian in modern times who re-established the spiritual preeminence of the Vedanta philosophy on a global scale. Okay, but his mission was not simply to talk of religion. The Prarthana Samaj. Atmaram Pandurang established in 1867 at Mumbai the Prarthana Samaj. Prarthana Samaj sought to remove caste restrictions, abolish child marriage, encourage the education of women, and end the ban on widow remarriage. Its religious meetings drew upon Hindu, Buddhist, and Christian texts. Okay, the Veda Samaj. Veda Samaj, established in Madras in 1864, okay, was inspired by the Brahma Samaj. It worked to abolish caste distinctions and promote widow remarriage and women's education. Its members believed in one God. Please note that. Okay. They condemned the superstitions and rituals of Orthodox Hinduism. The Aligarh movement. The Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, founded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1875 at Aligarh, later became the Aligarh Muslim University. Understand? The institution offered modern education, including Western science, to Muslims. The Aligarh movement, as it was known as, had an enormous impact in the area of educational reform. The Singh Sabha movement. The Singh Sabha movement was a Sikh movement began in Punjab. The first Singh Sabha were formed at Amritsar in 1873 and at Lahore in 1879. They promoted education among the Sikhs, often combining modern instructions with Sikh teachings. The Singh Sabha policy was to avoid criticism of other religious and political matters. Understand? Okay, today we will wind up the class. Chapter 8, Women, Caste and Reform, completed. So, You must read the lesson carefully. Thank you.